Welcome to episode 8.30 of the Grumpy Brothers podcast. I am Chris Ludvigsen, joined by Ted. Say hey, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
Thank you to our listeners. Please subscribe and listen on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Odyssey. Also, please follow us here on millions.co. Ted, I'm trying to make it so that my full head is in frame here. I
Okay.
don't want to be cut off because, people are dying to see.
I hope not. I hope not. I hope they're not dying.
Well, yeah, bad choice.
Excited. How about that?
There you go. Excited. They can't wait to see.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Today, Ted, we're going to discuss LeBron signing with the Sixers and sending the city of Philadelphia into a frenzy. And then we're going to continue with part 2 of Major League buyers and sellers. Before we get to that, Ted, what's making you grumpy today?
Okay.
That sounded like serious. I guess something.
Yeah,
serious
right.
to
Yeah.
discuss.
No. Parking lots are their own driving, walking nightmare, right?
Okay. Depends on
Yeah.
which
I mean,
parking
first of
lot
all,
you're referring to.
parking lots nowadays, parking lots are all badly constructed in a lot of ways, in part because they want to slow everybody down because people go
This whole safety thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we can't have any of that. Hey, look, if you're not
Ted's got places to be, people to see, things to do, got to get moving.
Yeah, that's right. If you can't be bothered to, as I'm going to talk about, watch where you're walking. But so I think it was on Wednesday. Somebody gave me money. Ugh. Not that I'm averse to money, but now I have to do something with it, right? So I didn't take it to the bank and I was going to put it in the ATM. So I drive to the bank. And I don't know why. I guess they didn't have
Is this
power.
in downtown sprawling Sykesville?
No, this is over in Eldersburg.
Oh goodness, I don't see how you got in and out of town.
Yeah. Hey, Sykesville's happening, man. So I go into the shopping center where this branch is located, and it's a standalone building, and I pull in and everything's dead. They don't have any power. The ATMs don't work.
Oh.
The inside's closed. I don't know what's going on over there. So you go and they have a sign up on the door, and there's a woman standing there who is also a customer, and she's reading the sign out for everybody. I think that was her job that day. She just stood there, just kind of just standing there going, and just like reciting it, just to anybody who could hear. And you couldn't see that the ATM was out, and the sign didn't say anything about the ATM. So I walk over to the ATM. Okay, it's not working. So I get back in my vehicle to leave. Now I have to back out. As I'm backing up, you have to be careful, right?
Yeah.
Because people are coming around,
Yeah.
And there's as you back up and then I start to turn to go forward, there's a white SUV coming at me, and the woman in it clearly is in a hurry because
she does have places to be.
Yeah. I'm just trying to turn my vehicle back so I can get on the right side of the lane. And every inch that I move, she's taking like 3 inches forward. Like she wants to run right through me to get to the parking spot. Now I was going to be a nice guy and stop and see if I could get her to roll down her window and say, the branch is closed. Don't, but no. You figure it out on your own. Maybe the town crier that was in front of the branch can tell you. So then last night we went out to eat at the up in Frederick, and it's a nice place, and so I dropped my wife off in front.
Mm-hmm. As is the husband's things. Every husband drops the wife off in front. Yes.
Right. In part because she can then find out how long I have to wait.
That's right.
Inside. And then I could go,
not gonna have any of that.
No. So it's busy. So I go to look for a place to park. And as I'm kind of circling the lot, and I'm coming back around to where I started, and I see a couple of people leave behind me. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just circle back, right? So as I circle back now in front of the building, there's a guy coming out of the restaurant who I'm just going to say was born before 1980.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So old enough to know better than to do
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
What now? There's no technical walk lane, where it's pedestrian
Hmm.
thing. There's not. It's really not that there. But everybody, you stop and So this guy's walking along at the speed of what?
Molasses.
Molasses. If there's something slower than molasses, and his head the whole time, just like this, never once looks up, just walks out of the door, never looks either way, head buried in his phone, just and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I want to lay on the horn because he's walking right in front of me. I mean, he's literally walking like 5 feet in front of me. I want to lay on the horn so bad, but there's other people around, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a kind of an older crowd, and I don't want to scare anybody. And I'm just like, how eh, do you think that everybody's paying attention to you? I mean, I was because I wasn't, but somebody could have come around. Excuse me, somebody could have come around the corner
Yeah.
who wasn't me,
Yeah.
and
Plowed right into him.
yeah, I mean, he's completely oblivious to, and I'm like, man, you gotta wake up, stuff happens.
Well, and also the double whammy of having the head stuck in the phone situation for someone who is at least
50.
who at some point grew up without having his head stuck in
Yeah,
the
right,
phone
right, right,
every minute of
exactly,
the
yeah.
day.
Yeah, right, yeah. I mean, and he's clearly reading because he's walking so slow that he's reading, because your head moves when you walk, I mean, people I don't like, I don't usually like take my phone out if I'm walking somewhere because it just
Yeah.
bobbles, and just wait till I stop, and then I
Also,
look at
what's
it
so important? I mean, unless he's like
on a
reading a
Saturday night.
yeah, like he's reading a research paper, and 5 minutes later he's gonna cure cancer. Other
Okay.
than that,
Yeah, yeah. I
it
mean,
wait,
I'm sure there
wait.
are things. Yeah, I'm sure there are things. There are personal things that could be happening that are very important. But if they were that important, wouldn't he be walking at a more brisk pace to
Or
get to his
maybe or
car?
maybe stop on the sidewalk and not try to do two things at once.
Oh no, no. He came out. I saw him. He came out of that door, head down, phone in hand. He was just crawling across. He's like a tortoise, that it just like, yeah, I've got 150 years to live and I can take my time. Anyway, it was just annoying. That's all. It just kind of an annoying little thing. Just pay
Uh,
attention to what you're doing, right?
so Ted, in the last week or so, I watched the Netflix series, the new Will Ferrell Netflix series called Hawk.
Yeah.
Have
Okay.
you seen it?
I've seen advertisements for it, and I'm one of those people that a little Will Ferrell goes far enough.
So, for those people who don't know, the premise of this series is Will Ferrell is a once great professional golfer who is now obviously, as Will Ferrell's age is what is he in his late 40s, early 50s, something
Oh, he's
like
got
that?
to be. I think he's probably closer to 60.
Do you think he's close
I
to this?
think.
Okay.
I think so.
So he's clearly past his prime
Yeah.
physically,
Right. 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 Yeah.
but he decides that he's going to come back to the PGA Tour in search of the one missing piece in the Grand Slam. He needs to win the US Open.
Oh, okay.
And in this, he lost the US Open when he misses a 3-foot putt on 18 at Pebble Beach and
Right. Okay.
loses. So now he comes back, and so as you were kind of alluding to, Ted, I would give this about a C plus
Yeah.
because, to your point, these days you kind of know what you're getting when you watch 6 hours or however many hours it was of Will Ferrell. Some of it was funny, but there was a lot of crude and cringe-worthy moments and one-liners that I could have done without, and they could have probably taken the 6 episodes and condensed it down to 3 and had a somewhat decent, plausible
Yeah. Right.
series.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, my grump Ted has to do with the much of the storyline was dealt with on the course activities and action.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're going to have a movie set in golf,
Right.
can we try to make the golf as realistic and accurate as possible?
Okay.
Okay. Does that seem unreasonable?
Okay. No,
Okay.
no.
So one of the big storylines is Hawk has a son who's now a professional golfer also.
Okay.
Okay. So in the US Open, somehow Hawk goes through various qualifying steps and is back on the tour and is in the US Open. And the best character, I think, in it was Owen Wilson playing a character. What was his character's name? Anyway, he was actually a pretty good character. He was another professional golfer that beat Hawk however many years ago to
Right.
take the US
Okay.
Open. So in this US Open, they cut right to after the 4 rounds are complete, and Dan Hicks, who has a nice little cameo, says, "We have a 3-man playoff between Hawk, his son Lonnie, and Golden Fisk, I think is the character's name." So it's a 3-man playoff. So now here's where things go off the rails very quickly. Ted, when you have a U.S. Open playoff, uh, how is it played? Is it a sudden death, or is it? It is.
I think they have moved to the like the British Open thing
Oh,
where
they have. Okay,
I think
because the last time
it used to be the next day a full round.
the full 18 holes. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right, right.
maybe that part of the grump is off because
I don't
they
know. I for some reason I thought that they at least were investigating it, and it hasn't happened
see
since
now
then.
I have
Yeah,
to look into that because
yeah,
I was very upset that that Dan Hicks introduces it as a 3-hole
yeah,
playoff,
yeah.
which immediately I went, well, okay. But Ted, here's the part that really grinded on me. So they go to the 18th hole, and they've made it very clear that this tournament's being played at Pebble Beach.
Right,
So everybody knows the 18th hole, right?
right. Yeah,
The most iconic finishing hole in golf. And as he's on the tee, Hawk is
yeah.
saying to himself in his mind, "Don't pull it, don't pull it, don't pull it." So of course, what did he do?
He pulls it.
He pulls it. He pulls it into the shoreline. Okay. So somehow, Ted, the ball ends up on, and I hate to do this because it's a spoiler
Yeah,
for people who haven't watched Hawk and want to.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Anyway, so the ball ends up on the middle of this boulder in the
yeah.
shoreline. And he goes down to the shoreline to try and make a second shot of some sort. And he can barely take a stance because he's on this boulder and it's next to a
Right.
couple of other boulders. And he can barely even get a stance. But somehow, Ted, he takes an iron and
Yeah,
not only plays a second shot successfully,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
but he knocks it onto the green within 5 feet.
From 300 yards or something like that. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Off a
Okay.
rock.
Off the rock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know, I've seen Tiger Woods make some incredible shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tiger's not pulling that off. No
Nobody
one's
is.
pulling that off.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
outside the realm of possibilities. I understand when you're watching a Will Ferrell sports movie, and Ted, watching Will Ferrell play golf was sort of like watching Will Ferrell play basketball as Jackie Moon in
Yeah.
Semi-Pro.
Yeah.
It was almost passable,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Okay, the
Okay.
swing
Yeah.
was not horrible,
Right.
but it
Right.
wasn't
Yeah. No, no. Right. It's
PGA
not a
level,
pro. That's not a
right?
pro.
But Ted, no one's making that shot.
No, no. Right. You got to have some. It was, this sounds a little tin cupish, this whole movie, kind of related in a way.
Yeah,
And the whole thing about Tin Cup at the end when he hits all the balls,
into the water.
but there were several, or at least one or two that if I think I remember this right, he's hitting a wood
Yes,
and he's spinning them off the green.
back off the green, right?
No, no, from 280 or whatever. No, nobody's spinning a wood from the fairway from anywhere.
Or on a U.S. Open, if you hit a
right,
wood onto the green, it's bouncing like it hit the cart path because the
right,
greens are so
right, yeah,
hard
yeah.
and fast.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, like you said, it's fine if you want to do all that, but make
Keep it in the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's something a little closer to reality is
Would be
nice.
nice.
Yeah,
Would be nice.
yeah.
All right, here we go, Ted.
That's why it's the magic of the movies.
There you go. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. Okay, Ted. I like this question.
Okay.
We're going to talk next about LeBron James going to the Sixers, and LeBron has scored the most points in NBA history. Ted, who has scored the most points in 76er franchise history?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
I said it was a good question.
So, all right. So the Sixers were they in a Philadelphia Warriors existed, and then they went to San Francisco, became Golden State.
Right.
The 76ers come in. Now, were they
They were the Syracuse Nationals.
Nationals. Okay.
They were the Syracuse Nationals.
So now you have to bring in, and I don't think anybody from that era.
Actually, number 3 on the list, Ted.
Dolph Schayes.
Hold on. There you go. How many people know the greatness that is Dolph Schayes? Dolph Schayes is number 3
that's pretty
on the
good
list.
that he's number 3. Yeah. That's still pretty good.
And I'm going to give you a hint, Ted.
Billy Cunningham.
Number 6 on the list.
Okay. Does he play in the 3-point era?
This gentleman did not play in the 3-point era.
3-point era. Okay. 3-point era, not. Wilt didn't play there long enough to be the all-time. Hal Greer.
Ted Ludvigsen. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Wow. Hal Greer. Fantastic.
Ted, Hal Greer could shoot.
I had forgotten how good of a scorer he was.
We may have seen him play a little, but man, he could fill it up.
Ted, he actually played the most seasons in 76er franchise history. He actually began his career with the Syracuse Nationals in 1958. The Sixers they became the Sixers in 1963. He played 15 seasons, averaging only 19 a game, but longevity. But Ted, in the era of the non-3-pointer, shooting 45% from the field and 80% from the free throw line. You're right. He could shoot it. I always remembered how Greer Moore as a point guard, but he was clearly a scoring point guard.
Yeah,
or did he play off guard? I'm trying to remember who was in the backcourt with him.
Well, I mean, they went through so many players. I mean, I think it wasn't a true point guard. I think he was, but there were years before Wilt came back to Philadelphia where he was probably the whole, most of the show. He and, like Billy Cunningham or whoever, Chet the Jet Walker,
Walker. Yeah. Ted, here's the rest of the list. Number 2, Allen Iverson, 19,009. Oh, by the way, Greer scored just over 21,500 points.
Okay.
Iverson just under 20,000 points. Dolph Schayes, third with just over 18,000 points. Dr. J also scored 18,000 points. And Charles Barkley scored 14,000. Joel Embiid is number 7 on the list with 13,544.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think he played enough games to move that far up the list, but he does get the ball a lot. So
yes, he does. All right. LeBron to the Sixers. Your first thought?
Well, that was kind of one of the places, right? That people thought he could go where he would have a pretty good chance of getting to the finals again.
Right.
Okay. So it's not a huge shock. I was surprised at the money, but
Well, he had said that he was willing to play for the league minimum, which I think is the only way that he fits in any of those payrolls with the second apron these days.
Yeah, it's not like he needs it either. So
right. Yeah. I'm surprised that he came West Coast to East Coast because all of he set up a huge business empire in LA, and I thought he might go to Golden State, just one for the basketball focus of playing with Steph and Draymond and coached by Kerr. But I also thought that he might stay on the West Coast to be closer to his business empire.
That's what I thought he was going to do, was stay out west for that.
And also that from a family standpoint, I'm guessing that once you get used to living a nice lifestyle in LA, it's living in Philly in the winter doesn't have quite the same appeal.
Yeah, but he'll be all right.
Yeah.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he can afford multiple homes. let's talk about it from a basketball standpoint. I heard I was listening to a fair amount of NBA radio to get everybody's thoughts on this in the last couple of days, and I think the ex-coach Sam Mitchell is on
Okay.
that, and I think it might have been Sam Mitchell that used the term that I agree with. I think LeBron in the current basketball world is the best connector, in that I think he has the ability, as he showed this year in Los Angeles, to adjust his game and make his game work with whatever setting he's in. And I think he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife these days, and I think he can do pretty much whatever you ask him to do on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah. Yeah.
So from a basketball fit standpoint, I think he will figure out a way to make the on the court thing work.
Yeah. Yeah. The what was it? I was watching or I flipped on Colin Coward, and
Mhm.
Rachel Nichols was
Yeah.
on, and she was running through some.
I think she's pretty well connected into the NBA world. I think she's
Yeah.
pretty good on that.
She had this stat that, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like amount of time that you have the ball in the offensive zone,
Okay.
right?
I think they call that usage time these days too.
And yeah, and so she's reading the numbers off of their starting five now that he's the total from last year that those five guys had the ball in the offensive zone was 140 something percent.
Yeah.
Uh, that's not going to work quite the same. It can't work the same way. So because there's only one ball,
Right.
and you can't have five guys have over 100%, right, of usage time or whatever. So I don't think that's a problem for LeBron, because he like you said, he's willing to do other things. He's always been somebody who's willing to make the right play.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that he's going to be that issue. Would the issue more be Jalen Brown or Embiid or one of the other guys? That's the question: is will everybody be willing to sacrifice?
Yes. So I think it might have been Sam Mitchell. They brought up the question of, which I think is, when you say share the ball and there's only one ball, and then the other sort of 1 and 1A part of that argument is just the pure egos of it, in that you've got at least four guys, Embiid, Maxey, Brown, and LeBron, who all think they're the number one option on any team they play on.
Right.
And that if for somehow, when LeBron went to the Heat, I can't remember the exact record, but after 30 games, they were right around 500. It wasn't working.
Right.
And from what I understand, LeBron went to Pat Riley and said, get rid of Spoelstra. And Riley said, no, that's not how we do things here.
No.
But let's say after 20 games, they're struggling. Let's say they're 10 and 10 after. Then I think this particular group of guys in this particular group with that particular front office and head coaching, and LeBron where he is in his career, that might become the problem. And I heard I think the co-host basically said to Sam Mitchell, do you see that being a problem? And Mitchell had an interesting comment. And I think this is also part of him being an ex-player and ex-coach, that he always wants to give the benefit of the doubt to the current player. He doesn't want to say anything bad about the current player.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But his position was, other than Edgecombe, all of these guys have gotten their money. So they should now all be about playing for the championship, and they should all be willing and able to set aside their egos and make it work.
Right. In theory.
Well,
here's just a simple, you're in the 10th game of the regular season. It's tie. You got the ball with 5 seconds left. Who gets it?
Well, we were having this conversation 2 weeks ago before LeBron, even after with just the Jalen Brown situation. Who gets it with now?
Who gets it now? Yeah. And who gets the ball? Yeah. I mean, I would say I throw it to LeBron and let him make a decision based on what's in front of him.
I think I think the offense is going if I think the offense is going to be LeBron playing point forward, Maxey and Brown on the wings, kind of
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
trying to find holes and cuts and finding spots and things of that. So I think the guy that's going to be who's going to be lost this season at Edgecombe, I think he's going to spend a lot of time sitting in the corner waiting the ball to come for him. He's going to have to be really. I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with Edgecombe this year. And then so you've got those
It's a
two guys in the
little
wing.
bit like Chris Bosh was with the Heat.
Yeah,
Really good player who was just out there wandering around. Yeah.
So I think you've got Maxey and Brown on the wings, Edgecombe in one of the corners, and then I think you got LeBron and Embiid in the middle of the court playing pick and roll. And if you do that, that could be, I mean, LeBron and Embiid, if you can convince Embiid to go to the basket a lot off the pick and roll to the basket instead of popping out and jacking up threes, it could become a very lethal offense.
Yeah, one of the other problems is when he gets a rebound, is somebody's got to go get the ball from him instead of him taking it up. Yeah.
Well, and
so that he can set himself up for a 25-footer,
I can't remember which person I heard say that the other reason they think this is going to work, and this is one of the questions I want to ask, is in the current NBA player, they all legitimately see LeBron as the GOAT.
Yeah.
And so even the most ego-driven player in the current world will always allow LeBron to they'll follow LeBron's lead.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
I'm also, the other thing about it that could make it actually work in a lot of ways is Embiid and to a degree LeBron, they need time off.
Right.
So, LeBron's 43. You're not going to play 40 minutes every night.
Well, and more importantly, and that's one of the things I have written down is I think you've already penciled in LeBron 60 games.
Yeah.
Embiid 60 games. And when those guys are off, that gives games for Brown and Maxey to be the number one option.
Right.
And Edgecombe to do more.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not quite planned obsolescence, but it's planned.
The only problem with that plan is, let's say it works, is that when you get to the playoffs, then all of a sudden you got to play with all five of them
and make it work
Yeah.
Ted, from a pure basketball strategery standpoint, the one thing that I would be concerned about is while Maxey, Brown, Edgecombe, and even LeBron, and for that matter, even Embiid, can all make three-pointers, there's not an elite, put him in the corner, throwing the ball. You don't have a Ray Allen that you can just literally stick in the corner and let him hit uncontested threes.
Yeah, I think if I was the GM and or the coach after this all, I would probably be calling Edgecombe for sure, maybe Maxey, and say, start working on your threes. Now, you're going to be shooting a lot. That's where you're going to be shooting from.
We've talked about Bob Myers, who has some kind of ambiguous role now with the Sixers, but the actual general manager, I can't remember the young guy's name, but it turns out that he came in second to LeBron in Player of the Year in Ohio High School the year. Anyway, Ted, I like something that he did already. From what I understand, he has signed Contavious Caldwell Pope is taking a buyout from the Grizzlies and is going to sign with the Sixers for less than $4 million a year, sort of a veteran minimum. He's the perfect guy to have as he and Anthony Simmons are now 1A and 1B, first guy off the bench in the backcourt, and both of them are legitimate three-point shooters. And I love KCP on this team because he's the guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands.
Right.
Yeah. He will play defense against the other team's best offensive player. He will stand in the corner and wait for his shot. He's a perfect signing. Love that signing.
That also gives them flexibility to move one of those guys if they have to.
And this also allows Dean Wade to come off the bench. The only other hole I see in the Sixers from a pure basketball standpoint is when Embiid takes a night off, they have this guy Barlow, who was a decent 10, 12-minute night off the bench guy player in the playoffs last year. Drummond, who was the backup center and got a lot of time because of Embiid's, he's now in New York taking the
Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson role. They don't have a legit. They're very thin up court or in the front court when Embiid doesn't play.
They'll find somebody. There's always some big guy out there that's willing to play defense and rebound and not and just go get the garbage baskets on the offensive end, not beg for the ball and all that kind of stuff. They'll find somebody.
Let me ask
I
you this
think.
question. Let me ask you this last question, Ted. As you started the conversation, LeBron clearly is doing this because he thinks this gives him a really viable
Yeah.
road to a championship.
Yeah.
Let's assume for the moment that he plays 60 games,
Yeah.
that LeBron has a major role in a championship run, and he gets his fifth ring with 4
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
Yes, fifth ring with 4 teams. I think you and I have both always been, no, Michael's the GOAT. If he were to do this under those conditions, do you start to rethink who's the GOAT discussion?
Well, I'm not a big on, because the eras are so different.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. He's the best player since, since 2000. Since Michael Jordan left, he's the best player. Michael Jordan was the best player probably, probably ever prior to that. You could say Wilt, but Wilt didn't win all the titles, and Bill Russell. But Bill Russell wasn't the player that might. He was different. He won a lot, but he didn't play the same way, and he didn't have the skill set, Michael. So I mean, they're 1A and 1B. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it.
I've always been a Michael is the GOAT guy, and I never.
Yeah.
But I would say this, that if he does this, if LeBron pulls this off and they win it, you combine that with his statistics and longevity, you could it no longer become, to me, it's cut and dry right now. 6-0 in the finals.
Here's the other thing though. Swap eras. Let them play, theoretically could he do what Jordan did with the team that Jordan had in the era where, a lot more contact, all that kind of stuff.
Some would say with LeBron's build, he might have been even better in that era because he was one of the few guys that could have taken, if
Yeah.
Lambert
We haven't
tried
seen
if
we
Lambert
haven't
tried to throw an elbow to
Yeah.
LeBron would.
Well, yeah, but we didn't see him do that. What do you think is harder? Do you think it would be harder for him to jump into that era or Michael Jordan to come into this era?
I've said Michael in his prime could score 50 if any night he wanted to in this era.
Right, because of the less contact, So and he became a pretty good 3-point shooter at the end of his career, so he would have developed that.
I think he would have. Yes, I think
and
he would have.
Now, would he have won, 6 and 6 tries? Who knows, but I like that team's chances in this era as much as any era that they played in.
Yeah. All right, Ted, let's go to baseball. And I want to circle back to one of the primary discussions from last week, which is Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
Before we go further, because I heard a really good point. I heard 2 really good points on Major League Baseball radio this week, Ted. One person said the problem with thinking about trading Skubal is that as soon as you trade Skubal, you're saying to the team, we're not making a run.
Right.
And if that's the case, then you almost have to also trade Casey Mize because he's also a free agent after this year.
Okay. What have you won with them? I mean, this team was supposed to, be, and it didn't. Yeah, now Skubal got hurt. Yeah, but this team didn't do what they thought it was going to do. So, but last year they made the last 2 years they make the playoffs. What'd they do with them? They got knocked out, right? If second round, first round, I think 1 year, and second round the next year.
All right, I'm gonna
I'm
start
not
a
blaming those guys. I'm just saying that, what'd you
yeah.
do with them?
Okay, I'm gonna start a theme right here that I was going to bring up with a couple of other guys that I wanted to discuss today. And that is, if you have an elite player, why are you releasing or trading an elite player? But let me throw one other thing. On the positive argument to keep Scooble,
Yeah,
he's in arbitration this year and he's making 32 million a year.
right.
Okay.
You're free agent, right? At the end of the year.
Right.
Okay.
He's an unrestricted free agent. Okay. So, but this year under arbitration, he's making
Right. Making
32.
32. Right.
Let's say you could sign him for 7 years for 40 million a year. You're paying him 32 this year, an extra 8 million. You're paying Casey Mize 6 this year. Why not trade Mize and basically think financially it's a wash next year?
No, no.
Why not?
He's had Tommy John. He just had the bone chips or whatever. Um, you're in. Framber Valdez is in for what, 30? And I'm not blaming those guys specifically, but what have you done? What did you do with them? I mean, if I'm going to keep one, I'm keeping Mize because the raise isn't as much, and it gives me flexibility everywhere else. Now, if the Little Caesars, the original Little Caesars man was,
Illich, yeah.
Illich was still owning the team, Scooble would have already been signed. That would have been done. It would have been done last year.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you didn't get there with them. What can you? The other part is, what do you get for him? Because, all right, so let's say you keep him and you offer him 7 years and $40 million, and the Dodgers go, well, yeah, we can do that. We can, and he's looking at them going to the World Series every year, right?
So, from your perspective, even though, let's say you did what I was suggesting, you get him for 40, you let Mize go, and
Yeah.
it's basically a wash financially. You're saying you still wouldn't do
But you
that
still
because,
have to replace Mize.
but you're also saying that you don't want to give Scooble the 7 years because you don't think he's going to last 7 years based on his recent injury history.
I don't think he's going to last the 7 years. Plus, I have to replace Mize, and I have Framber Valdez, who has been underachieving this year, right? You would say. I mean, he started out pretty good, but it's sort of fallen apart for him. So now you've got him for what, 3 more years and like 30 something a year. Am I looking at that? What am I getting out of him? If he was the Framber Valdez from the Astros, okay, well, that's a different story. But you still have to replace Mize if you let him go.
Interesting. I'm going to look up and see exactly what Framber is doing this year. Because Scooble put up another great game the other night.
Great. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh gosh, Framber 5-7, 4.57 ERA, and a what's his WHIP? 1.38. Ooh, Framber.
And he's pitching in a much friendly ballpark, from a pitching perspective.
And he's 32, so
yeah. I mean, and the thing about Scooble is, you could go to him, I would suspect, and say, look, you can stay. We have a couple of options for you. Where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
But we really want to talk to you after the season's over and see if because he might want to come back. It doesn't mean you've lost him completely. It just means that, you're trying to, because if you can get something back, he might go, well, yeah, okay, they look pretty good now. Let me come back and sign for 5 years or whatever,
All right, let me go to the next guy that I want to talk about. And this is continuing the theme of why teams are thinking about elite players go. I'm hearing that the Padres are considering moving closer Mason Miller.
Yeah.
Now, San Diego's a game under 500, 15 behind the Dodgers. That's not happening, but they're only 3 behind the final wild card spot.
Right.
Miller's going to be 28 next year. He's eligible for arbitration, not an unrestricted free agent until after the 2030 season. So the Padres just traded for him last year and gave up a bunch of prospects, including the number 1 overall prospect at the time, I think a shortstop.
Yeah.
Miller has been everything you could have asked him to be. This year, Ted, he's 26 saves, 0.84 ERA, .84 whip, almost 17 strikeouts per 9 innings. Okay. I understand this year might not be the year.
Right, right.
Why are we trading elite talent?
That's one I wonder. Yeah, you have to wonder about that. Um, I did read somewhere that, they thought, well, he'll bring back a lot of young talent, and they've given up a lot of young talent over the last couple of years for these various,
Between Soto and then
we're
last year
taking their big
Miller.
swings at guys. They've given up a lot of talent, and they're trying to replenish the farm system. And I'm like, yeah, but if I'm sitting in the dugout and saying I don't care about the farm system, I want to win now.
And I can't
I
remember which
I
team.
wouldn't. Yeah,
I can't remember what we were talking about recently, but we talked about constantly being in the circle of,
yeah.
like, at some point, and I really want to get in when I'm talking about this next guy. And actually, let's do this and let's kind of mold these together,
All right.
because I'm hearing that the Red Sox are looking to make a big move, and one of the people they were looking at was C.J. Abrams of our Nationals.
Right. Right.
Okay. Now, I can understand why they want Abrams.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
He's 25. He's in his prime physically. I don't know that he's a great shortstop defensively.
He's okay. He's okay.
Okay. But he's blossomed offensively this year. 293, 25 homers, 79 RBIs. You trade Juan Soto and get this guy as a prospect,
Right.
hoping he's going to become what he's become.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are we thinking about moving this guy?
I don't know, because he's not a free agent until after 2028.
Right.
I don't understand this. You're semi in the playoff race. They're only,
but even if you weren't,
yeah. Okay, so
and let's assume for the moment the Nationals all have clear heads going here, and they go, we're not a real contending team.
Right.
We don't have anything close to the pitching we need.
Right. Well, they just made a trade today with the Red Sox.
Okay, is Connor Early really? Is he the next Steve Carlton?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, no. I mean, he's probably an improvement over what they've been running out there for the rest of the year.
But Connor Early does not make them.
No.
Against this isn't the Brewers they didn't or the Phillies or the Dodgers.
They didn't get Tarek Skubal here.
No. So they have, on a scale of 1 to 10, they have a 1% chance of making the play of winning the World Series at best.
At best, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go with the premise that everybody in the Nationals front office goes, yeah. This is a nice run. I love the offense. It's not happening. Well, why are we thinking about trading this guy?
Okay, so the Nationals in general, they want to trade. They're going to trade, it sounds like, the pitcher that went to the All-Star game this year, Griffin, who he's on a 1-year deal. He came from Japan. Is it just lightning in a bottle?
I get that.
Thing. Yeah,
I get that one.
Yeah. I have no understanding as to why C.J. Abrams is even. I mean, if they had been as bad as I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year, and he was having this kind of year, then I would go, yeah, okay, that makes sense, because now you're getting 3 or 4 guys back, and because you knew you were going to be back. Now you're a lot better than you thought you were going to be for whatever reason, because the pitching isn't it. You're scoring more runs than anybody else in baseball, and you're going to trade one of your 3 all-stars, or one of your 2 offensive all-stars. The guy who you traded your franchise player away, who was the prime piece in the package, you're going to trade him away. It doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't make it. It makes zero sense, because you can lock him in, for 2 more years without having to extend him.
Okay, so to me, there are 2 things going on here. The number 1 prospect that the Nationals have is a shortstop, Eli Willits.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's assume Eli
He's
Willits.
the number 1 prospect. This guy can play. But
let's assume Eli Willits becomes
a good player.
Let's
See, he
assume he
becomes as
becomes
good
that.
as Abrams.
Okay.
Better defense and about the same
Can we
offense, or
find
a
a
little less.
different position for one of those two guys to play and have them both on
I
the team?
I and if Abrams won't move, or Willett's, whatever, if you would think, yes, you would think that one of them could move either to second
Somewhere.
base, or
Third
Abrams.
base, somewhere.
Abrams can run. Maybe he can put him out in center field. I don't know. But then if he says no, I'm not doing it, I'm the short, then you trade him.
Okay.
Because but at that point, then he'll be expensive.
Yeah.
And if this run is not legitimate, it's a mirage, and they come back to earth whenever they play in 2027, and Abrams doesn't want to move, then you move him because he's expensive, and you've got this kid that can now play for the next 5 or 6 years, and you find out.
So, Ted, the other thing that I've been wondering about is when I see and hear this, the other guy that they got in the Soto trade, or one of the other guys they got in the Soto trade, they also got Mackenzie Gore, who they've since
Right.
moved to the Rangers. They got Hassel, who did not work out. But the other
Right.
piece was James Wood.
Right.
And between as I said a couple weeks ago, between Abrams and Wood, I think the Nationals won that trade.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Soto's not playing for the Padres anymore.
And the Padres did not win anything. Okay. So let's assume that the Nationals have said to themselves, our centerpiece for the next decade is James Wood.
Right.
And we're going to sign him to a $35 million a year deal. Let's just assume that's the case.
Right. Yeah.
Are they considering moving Abrams because financially they can't have both of them making over $20 million a year?
Lerner's got plenty of money. They just don't want to spend it that way.
Okay, but see, Ted,
the Lerners are running it as a business. They don't want to operate at a deficit, even though they have plenty of money. And they could sell the team. They could there's a lot of things that could happen. It's not I don't think it's a money issue. I don't think if it was the Steinbrenners, it would not be a money issue.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is for the Lerners.
I was getting ready to say, if you can't sign both of these guys, then that's another illustration of what's wrong with baseball financially.
Yeah, but I think the Lerners have the money. They could do it. I just don't think they've been trying to sell the team. So maybe by keeping the team cheaper, they make it more attractive. I don't know. I've also heard Abrams that the Yankees were interested in him. What if you got Spencer Jones? Maybe you get Volpe as a replacement for Abrams in the short term, and maybe a change of scenery helps him. And you get, let's say they throw in, a relief pitcher or a minor league pitcher or two or whatever. If you get that kind of return, does it make sense then? I don't know. Because Spencer Jones has not been great at the major league level.
I just hate giving up when you make the trade hoping he becomes what he's become.
Right. And then he becomes it, and then you trade him away. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I would not trade him. At least let's see what happens next year, because you still have the off season after let's say 2027, they figure out the CBA, they play, like 100 games, and the Nats go, win 35 games. They go 35 and 65, and you sort of know where, and what we thought was going to be the case is the case, that this year's a mirage. You still have the off season, and you can offer him to somebody and say, listen, you're going to get him for a full year. That ramps up the price.
You have so much time to make this move.
There's no reason to rush. No.
Okay. One of the teams that we did not discuss last time that I want to discuss also is last year.
And by the way, that the same thing applies to Mason Miller.
Yes, that's my point.
There's no rush. Yeah, there's no
That's
rush.
my point. Between Mason Miller, C.J. Abrams, and Skubal. Why are we giving away elite players? It's so hard.
Skubal's different because he's in a free agent.
I get it, but I think once you get an elite player, you should move heaven and earth to keep that elite player.
Yeah, but if Skubal, okay, so you offer him the qualifying offer. He's probably not gonna take it. Some guys have, but then even if he does take it, it's still only 1 more year. At some
Yeah.
point, you have to make a decision with him. And, there could be such a return, and you could still go get him. If he's a free agent, it doesn't preclude you from going to get him in the offseason. You just have to make it. I think, like I said, I think you go to him and say, "Listen, do you want to be on? We're not going anywhere. Do you want to be on one of these teams? Which one is it? Here and but don't sign an extension. We
Mm.
want to talk to you after the season's over. Give us right of first refusal or something."
All right, let's wrap up with two other things here, Ted. Last year's World Series runner-up, the Blue Jays, are on
Ooh,
the roller coaster of 2024 last place in the AL East,
yeah,
2025 first place in the AL East and World Series, and now they're back in last place.
yeah, yeah,
Um, they're 9 games under 500, 13 and a half games behind the Rays. They're 3-7 in their last 10, 5.5 behind the last wild card spot. Have to get past 6 teams. They should be a seller, even in the bad AL.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, this stretch of 3-7 has to have put them over the edge. I would think. I've
All right.
I've read that Gosman is on the block.
Okay, so that's the guy. There are two names I want to talk about and
Yeah,
see if you're a general manager, if you have any interest.
yeah,
Kevin Gosman has not been good this year. He's 35 last year of a 5-year contract. He's 4.9 with a 4.51 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP. If you need a fourth starter,
yeah.
you interested in Gosman?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, now this is where, like scouting, is he still throwing,
Mm,
what's he got? Is he just missing his spots? Is it just bad luck this year where balls are sneaking through, because this guy's not playing third base and the other guy had range. Yeah, whatever, stuff happens. Guys have bad years. So but if he's still throwing 97, if he's still operating and his curveball or whatever he throws as an off-speed pitch is still moving, um, yeah, I would be interested. Sometimes you just have bad years, right?
hmm
Or stuff doesn't happen for you, right? But if he's throwing 93 and there's no movement, that's where it becomes a thing. Is if the scouts tell you, yeah, he's still got it. He just has had bad luck. Then, but it's not going to cost you. I don't think
No,
it cost you an arm and a leg.
no. All right. The other name, Ted, that's interesting on the Blue Jays that I has to think is on the block is 36-year-old George Springer. He had
Yeah.
a big bounce back year last year. This year he's struggling again. 226, 10 homers, 27 RBIs. He's also in the last year of his contract.
Yeah, he doesn't. Chances are he wouldn't interest me. I've read that the Phillies may have a little, or at least talking with them about Dalton Varsho, solve their center field woes. Okay, yeah, I would take him, but I wouldn't take Springer. I mean, he's
The
he's
one thing
really a
I
DH.
the one thing I like about Springer is, in a playoff
Yeah,
series,
that's
the
true.
moment's not going to be too big for him.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess if again depends on what your scouts think has his bat slowed down? Is he hurt? He can't play the outfield anymore. We just have to use him as a DH and pinch hitter. And again, he's not going to cost you a ton. So if you're Tampa,
Hmm
right, and you're in the play, and you're probably going to make the playoffs, or you're the White Sox, and it looks like you got a shot at the playoffs, and you need a little veteran help down the stretch. Both of those teams are teams that could probably use him, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let me throw one other pitching name at you, Ted. And I want to wrap it up with a pitching
Okay.
review. Uh, Clay Holmes for the Mets.
Yeah.
He's 33. He's in the second year of a 3-year contract, 38 million. So 12, 13 million a year, not a
Yeah.
huge number, is
Right.
workable. Only one season left. I always saw Holmes as sort of a serviceable, good, not great reliever when he was with
Yeah.
the Yankees. In his 2 seasons as a starter with the Mets, Ted, 16-12, 3.26 ERA, 1.26 WHIP. You
Yeah.
interested in Clay Holmes?
A lot more interested in him than I think at that price, and you get another year out of him. The guy that I think is, other than Scooble, Robbie Ray. We talked about him last week. He's got to. He's going to go somewhere.
Okay, so let's do. This is what I want you to do, Ted. So we've talked
But
about Robbie
to finish Holmes. Yes, I'm in. I'm in on him.
So let me ask this question, Ted. So last week we talked about Waka, Lugo, and this week we're talking about Holmes, and we also talked about Robbie Ray. Those four. Oh, and let's throw Gausman in also. Those five: Gausman, Ray, Waka, Lugo, Holmes. You can have any one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Is Robbie Ray number one on the list?
I think so. Yeah, because he's got swing and miss. Right. He's got a lot of that.
Right.
And he's left-handed.
Right.
He never seems to get hurt, or he never doesn't seem to have any health issues on a regular on any kind of basis. So he's Robbie Ray. It's kind of, to me, it's Robbie Ray and Waka
are one and two.
Are 1 and 2. If I'm the the Orioles, Clay Holmes, yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Because even if I don't make the playoffs with him,
you want him for next year.
I got him for next year for a reasonable price. I'm not giving up, I'm not giving up Gunner for him. Right. But depending on what the trade is, but there's a few teams. I mean, I'm sure Tampa would like him. I'm sure the White Sox would like him. I think he would be very attractive to a team that is also thinking ahead of, okay, we get him next year too. Great.
We talked last week about Lugo being perhaps the kind of guy that you'd put in a swing role. Holmes, because he's been a reliever in the past, you could do the same thing with him.
Right.
So Ted, you go Robbie Ray, Waka, then of Lugo, Holmes, and Gausman.
I think I would take Holmes. I think Holmes is a little younger than Lugo.
I think Lugo is like 35 and Holmes is like 33.
Yeah, so I think I would go Holmes, Lugo, and then Gausman. That would be if Skubal is one level.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is, that list. Yeah.
Any other teams that you think we should, or players you think we should be talking about here, Ted?
Well, last week I was jumping on the Marlins, but they've lost 11 in a row. So they are now completely selling. The Mariners are completely, I don't know what's going on with them. They are under 500. They've lost 4 or 5 in a row. I feel bad for them because for ownership, in a sense, is that for years everybody said spend some money. So they went out and spent some money, and they got the same result. I don't know.
And Ted, I did you see that they fired their hitting coach?
Yeah, nice. Okay, yeah. All right. By the way, a team that has been, we like the Pirates. We want them to do well. The White Sox are in first place. That's, considering where they were 2 or 3 years ago, that's great. I got to hand it to the Astros. They're kind of there. The Cardinals are kind of there, so there's a lot of teams that have, chances. And I guess that's what the idea of the third wild card is.
But again, if I'm the Cardinals, if I'm the, the Rangers, I'm not.
Well, the Rangers are in first.
I get it, but these are not good teams. And if I'm a fan of one of those teams, I don't want them to give away like their number one prospect to go get Clay Holmes, thinking that he's going to be the difference.
Yeah.
That's what if I'm a fan of one of those teams, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of them thinking, oh, all we have to do is get one more starter and we can make a run. No.
Well, in some ways that is true. If you get like if you're Texas and you have DeGrom, who's not having a great year, but he is still him, and Evaldi, who's always been a good player, and you go out and you get Robbie Ray, what's he worth to you now? He's probably not going to stay because he's a free agent at the end of the year. He may not stay, but is he worth that high prospect? Because with those 3 guys at the front of your rotation in a playoff series,
I just think it comes down to the conversation that you started off last week with, which is I am thinking I'm only making big moves if I think I can win the World Series. You seem to
Okay.
have a little bit different take last week, which was you were saying
If you
that,
you got to get in first. That's the
yeah,
first thing
but I don't want to give away too much just to get in.
for 1 year. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, you're looking at it, but if you're somebody who's in Pittsburgh and we haven't seen the playoffs in 10 years or 15 years or whatever, and we have to give up somebody. Like, there was an article that said, should the Pirates trade O'Neal Cruz? I was like, yeah, they should have traded him before the
Yeah.
season started,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I would trade whatever, almost anything, to if I thought it was going to get me in the playoffs.
Just
You know,
just because it's been such a long time,
yeah,
and
right, yeah, and then
eventually you got to do something for your fans. I kind of
right,
get that.
yeah, yeah.
I kind of
You
get
may
that.
get run out of town by the Dodgers or the Brewers, but okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up there for the week, Ted. That was another good conversation on baseball, and God bless Hal Greer. I forgot to look it up. Where did Hal Greer play college basketball? Do you remember?
It was I think he played at Marshall.
Oh, wow.
He's from West
I
Virginia.
know he's from West Virginia. I forgot to look that
Yeah,
up.
I mean, it was a work thing, that when I was still working and I had some coverage in West Virginia, that they were doing something. I think it was in Huntington, West Virginia. It was like Hal Greer Boulevard, and they were trying to build like a basketball arena, and they might have named it after him or
Hal
something.
Greer played college basketball at Marshall University, then
Yeah,
Marshall College in Huntington, West Virginia.
yeah.
Ted, wow. You
Well,
know,
I just, it was a work thing. I just remember that from a work thing, and it struck me as very odd, that Hal Greer came out of Huntington, West Virginia, and was so good.
I just thought of something. Is it possible that Randy Moss is from West Virginia? Is he from
Yes, he
Huntington?
is. Yeah.
Wow, that's two
That
pretty
would
good
be weird.
athletes.
Yeah, I mean, Huntington is. I'm sure it's not a small town, but it's got some size to it. But because Marshall's there, but yeah, that would be odd if he was from. He did. I think he went to Marshall for a little
Oh,
while,
Randy
right?
Moss is from Rand, West Virginia. I mean,
Okay.
there you go. Okay.
But I mean, he went to Marshall for like a
Yes.
year, right,
Yes,
or a
he
year or
did. Yeah, he
two.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
did. He played high school basketball with Jason Williams.
Right, right. Yeah, that must have been an interesting team. That coach got.
There's a little personality on that team,
Yeah.
but it's a couple good athletes. All right, let's go ahead
Yeah.
and wrap it
Right.
up there for the week.
Yeah.
Thank you again to our fans for listening. Hope you're enjoying these episodes. Please continue to follow us here on millions.co. Also, please check us out on our social media platforms. We have a YouTube channel. We're also on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And you can also email us at grumpybrothersports@gmail.com. And with that, we'll say goodnight, and we promise to do better next time.